It's Florida superstar Josh Liendo's fourth and final year of NCAA competition, meaning that if he wants to take ownership out of an individual NCAA record, the clock is ticking. Recently, Leando competed at his final SEC Conference Championships, where he managed to unleash some very fast times. That certainly makes his odds of breaking one of Caeleb Dressel's NCAA records look pretty favorable. First, let's go through all of the results we saw out of Leando over the course of the meet. Leando got off to a hot start immediately on night one of competition in the 200 medley relay, as he teamed up with Johnny Marshall, Cohen DeGroot, and Scotty Buff to set a new NCAA record. These four combined for a time of 120.03, breaking the old record also held by Florida by 12/100ths of a second. Leando was actually also the only swimmer to outsplit his leg compared to the old record. In doing so, he made up enough ground to clip that time with a massive freestyle split of 17:58. That relay split is now the fifth fastest split in history. Leando's first individual event was perhaps his most impressive, the 100 butterfly. After an already absurdly quick prelims time of 43:26, Leando somehow found a way to shave some time off of that swim in the final with a blistering swim of 43:06. That ties his own personal best in the event that he set last year while winning the national title, and was already the second fastest swim in this event's history. Leando takes up most of the top 10 performances in this race, with 7 of the 10 fastest swims of all time. The next night in the 50 free, Leando outdueled Tennessee's Caeleb to get his hand on the wall first, 18:42 to 18:46. That is actually Leando's first ever SEC title in this event, thanks to the previous 3 years having Jordan Crooks break 18 seconds at the SEC Championships. Later on in the session, Leando sliced 1/100th off of his time, leading off the 200 free relay for Florida with a time of 18:41. That gave the Gators a lead and helped them win the relay by over half a second. The final night of the meet was a little more of a mixed bag for Leando. In the individual 100 freestyle, he placed third with a time of 40.94. A sub 41 second swim is very fast, and it's kind of insane that it just placed third at a conference meet, but LSU's Jury Herbar had a crazy fast swim of 40.42 to outtouch Caeleb and also break the meet record held jointly by Crooks and Leando from last year. But then in the final event of the night, the 400 free relay, Leando dove in as the anchor almost half of a second behind Texas, then pulled even on the breakout, took the lead and extended it over the course of his leg, eventually touching the wall first by well over a second. Leando ended up splitting a time of 39:47, which now stands as the second fastest relay leg of all time. Overall, these were some very fast swims out of Leando, something that's to be expected from a swimmer of his caliber. But how do they compare to his previous SEC Championships performances, and how fast can he go a month from now at NCAAs? Here we have all the results from Leando in his 3 primary events at both the SEC Championships and then the NCAA Championships. I'm using his fastest time recorded in each event, so some of these are from relay leadoffs. The most important thing to note here is that Leando is really good at going faster at NCAAs than he was at SECs that year. In his previous 3 seasons, he has dropped time in all 3 events, all 3 years. His 50 free time of 18:41 isn't quite as fast as the 18:26 he clocked last year, but his best time is from a season where he was only in 18:55 at SECs, so maybe that's a good sign. His 100 is about half a second slower than his swim from last year, but again, I'm not very concerned about his form in this event, mainly due to his insane relay split to close out the meet. The biggest head turner is the 100 fly time. It's the fastest he's gone at the SEC Championships ever, and the fact that he managed to tie his personal best is crazy impressive when he's already so fast of a swimmer in this event. And clearly, Leando has made some great strides in the short course 100 fly recently, since we saw him break the world record in the short course meters event during the final stop of the 2025 Swimming World Cup in Toronto. With a swim of 47.68, he broke Noé Ponty's world record just 1 year after Ponty had taken the record from Caeleb Dressel. Which brings us to an interesting question. Can Josh Liendo break Dressel's NCAA record of 42.80 in the 100 butterfly? Leando Leando has been knocking at the door for a while now, first swimming a 43.07 in 2024, then a 43.06 last year, and more recently again at these SEC championships. Looking at the splits between these two races from Leando, we can see that his split distribution has changed a little bit. Last year he was out in 20.13 compared to 19.95 this time around. Now the flip side is that he came back faster last year compared to this year, 22.93 to 23.11. It'll be interesting to see if Liendo can maintain that quick opening pace while also bringing it home a little quicker as well. If we add Dressel splits into the mix, things get even more interesting. Liendo managed to take the race out a bit faster than Dressel did in his most recent swim. This actually isn't a first for Liendo. When he went 43.07 in 2024, he was out in a 19.90. The biggest hurdle posed by Dressel's record swim continues to be that closing 50. Dressel has always been a great closer in the 100 butterfly over all courses, and his closing split of 22.81 shows that, especially when you need to go out right at or preferably under 20 seconds to even be within striking distance. But Liendo continues to be right on the cusp of breaking 43 seconds and maybe even that record, and the current trajectory of his short course meters world record along with his fastest ever SEC performance makes a swim that fast at the very least possible. 17.63 in the 50 free is probably going to be too tough for Liendo to take down. He's incredibly quick as the third fastest swimmer of all time with a time of 18.07, but that is over 4/10 of a second away from that record time. I do think it could be cool to see Liendo drop 800ths and break 18 seconds. Also, as fast as 17.63 is, I just can't help but remind myself that Dressel did have a personal best of 18.20 before the meet where he set that record, but Dressel is also the definition of outlier. Finally, we have the 100 freestyle. Leando is chasing two different marks here. The NCAA record set by Jordan Crooks last year, a time of 39.83, and Dressel's University of Florida record of 39.90. That's the thing about Leando also swimming for Florida. He is ridiculously fast in his three primary events, the third fastest ever in two of them and the second fastest ever in the other one, and yet he owns his school record in 0 of them thanks to Dressel, though he does have the record in the 200 butterfly, which is kind of funny. Leando became the third man to break 40 seconds last year, and in doing so he actually beat the newly minted NCAA record holder Jordan Crooks in that event final, winning the NCAA title. Comparing his splits to both Dressel and Crooks, we can see that things shake out remarkably similar to the 100 butterfly splits, just a lot closer. All three of these swimmers are out in under 19 seconds. Frankly, an absurd time to register to the feet, but Leando is a hair faster than the other two with his 18.94. Then it is the NCAA record time with the fastest closing 50 of 20.85, and Leando is just over the 20-second barrier with a final 50 of 21.05. So just like in the 100 fly, Leando has a fast opening 50, but just loses ground on the second half. He doesn't die by any means, just is less fast than the record splits. It's also worth noting that Leando did close his insane relay anchor with a time of 20.92, so under that 21-second barrier and a bit quicker than Dressel but slower than Crooks. A hypothetical super split combo of that second 50 and his opening 50 from his best time nets him a time of 39.86, just 300ths away from Crooks. Obviously, there are a ton of variables I'm just ignoring, and it's nowhere near that simple, but it's still fun to notice. Josh Liendo so far might be one of the best ever NCAA swimmers to not have an individual record to his name. He is absurdly accomplished individually and in relays, and is also able to clutch up when it matters, either with a ridiculous relay split or a big time swim in a final. It'll be very interesting to see what happens at NCAAs in March during his last ever NCAA meet. Are there any NCAA swimmers you want me to take a look at before the big dance arrives in March? And how fast do you think Josh Liendo is about to swim? Let me know down below.